get that started. And then is your mic on? There you go. Test this out. I'm going to add you in here. And you should be
Testing.
There we go. I love it. Can you hear good?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Perfect. And 3, 2, 1. And we are live.
Nice.
Awesome.
Are we actually live?
Yeah, we are. Well, not like live.
We're live, but okay.
Like live on.
Live enough.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Well, Michael, thank you so much for coming in, man.
No, man, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited. I was excited about coming, so I'm here. Let's do it.
It's a great time, for sure. So, for everyone that does not know, Michael is a real estate agent.
Yes.
And where do you work out of?
So I work out of south suburbs, mostly south side of Chicago. The office I'm with now is listing leaders.
Okay.
Yeah, I just transitioned. I'm thinking when we first met, and most of the time that I've known you, I was with Keller Williams. Yeah. But I just transitioned, and I like it over there. It's cool.
Nice. Yeah. Good deal.
I haven't even been over there a month, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but it's cool so far.
There you go, man. Absolutely. Yeah, no, we go back a ways, right?
Yeah, man. Probably about 5 years, about maybe 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I think so, like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty much when I got in the business that we had met, so it's a good time. How long have you been a realtor for?
I've actually been a realtor for 6 years.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so
okay.
this is my actually I'm in my 6th year, so it'll be 6 years in February.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
There you go. Congratulations.
Yeah, man, I made it. They say realtors have a 2 to 3 year lifespan.
Oh yeah.
And then most of them get out of the business by 80% of realtors get out of business by year 3. So
yep.
I made it.
You made it. You're part of the club for sure. No, absolutely. I think it's the same with anything in sales, right? Like there's a high turnover because people think that it's easy.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah. Especially in like a market like this. And I mean, I hope you got some questions about the market because I kind of want to get into that.
Yeah.
But I mean, when the market starts to, during COVID we saw a crazy shift. Where it was like everybody was selling houses. Anybody could sell a house.
Oh, 100%.
You could sell any house at any price. It's gone, multiple offers. Yeah. And now, we're starting to see a major slowdown. At least in Chicago. I don't know how it looks in Indiana, but in Chicago it's, a major slowdown. There's not as many listings.
Yeah.
Even the buyers are getting tight. I hear a lot of agents saying that it's crickets on their listings right now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
And that's a scary thing, when this is only thing that you do for money.
Right.
That's scary. So I'm just blessed, man. I'm blessed to be here. I'm not complaining about it.
There we go. Yeah, no, it's really interesting to bring it up. So we'll definitely dive into that. Before we do, I think that I've heard this from a lot of people that I look up to in our industry, and they say that in a down market that we're in now currently, right? And it's not down as far as sales prices or anything like that, but down as far as the amount of people that are purchasing homes or selling homes right now, right? The amount of transactions is significantly down from where it has been the last couple of years. That's where reputations are built, right? That's where you separate the boys from the men, right? Right. And you have a lot of the people that thought it was easy money, or thought it was super easy to do, where they kind of get weeded out of the business, right? Right. And I think it's natural, to have a pruning, if you will, of the professionals in our business. Yeah. Because it weeds out, again, a lot of people that thought it was easy, and some people that, might either intentionally or unintentionally harm the clients that they're working with, right?
100%. And, when I first got into the business and I first joined Keller Williams, it was an agent, shout out Ubaldo. A lot of people got beef with Ubaldo, but I rock with Ubaldo. I remember he said, man, I can't wait until the market crashes because all the bad agents want to get out of business. Oh, 100%. And I didn't understand what he was saying at the time, but now looking back on it, I'm like, this is exactly when you gain market share.
Oh, absolutely.
I do a podcast too. You came on our podcast on the Real Estate Show. A little plug right there.
There we go. Absolutely.
But we had another lender on there, and he talked about 80% of loan officers are getting out of the business.
Oh yeah.
So
Easily.
that kind of just tells you right there, if you are a part of the 20%, that the other 80% of that market share is up for grabs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's the same thing with realtors. I don't want to say majority, but there's a lot of realtors that came into the business during COVID because they thought it was easy money.
Right. And
now that it's not easy money, a lot of them are getting out.
Yeah.
So it's market share to be had.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that also too, it's not necessarily like just the clients that are more willing to purchase homes back then versus now, right? I think same thing with loan officers too. A lot of got into the business to do refinances and make the easy money there too.
Right.
Now, as a realtor, you have to negotiate harder for your client, right? As a loan officer, you have to put together deals that are really like on a hairline of qualifying or not, right?
Yeah.
So you really have to know what the heck you're doing.
Yeah.
As the realtor and the lender now. And that's where I think a lot of people that were doing a lot of refinances, those are a lot easier. Or listing a house and saying, hey, highest and best, I got 20 offers, let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as that anymore. So it weeds out a lot of the people that don't know what they're doing,
100%.
So tell me about, we talked about in Chicago, you're seeing a lot of, home sales fall off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's not as many home sales happening right now. Why do you think that is?
I mean, it's a combination of things, right? Interest rates being so high. So you have a lot of, I don't want to say just baby boomers, but it's a lot of people who have bought houses before COVID at whatever interest rate they bought it at, a 4-5% interest rate. And then people who bought it during COVID at a 3% interest rate,
right,
or a 2.5% interest rate. Some 2% interest rate for some people.
Oh yeah.
They literally have no incentive to sell.
Right.
They are sitting on a ton of equity, and if they were to sell, it would be a pain in the ass to try to find somewhere to live.
Oh, 100%.
And not to mention trying to find somewhere to live, but you're probably going to end up downsizing and paying double what you pay now.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
That's the challenge for a lot of clients that I've dealt with.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of years that have purchased, and now they're looking to move, and get that bigger place for their family. And they're like, dude, I'm paying $1,000 a month right now, and if I move up in price $100,000, I'm now paying $3,000 a month. Right.
Yeah. And me and Louis is supposed to be here, but me and Louis have been having a lot of conversations about a market crash. Markets go up and markets go down.
Right.
Stock market, real estate market, any market that you're in, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. And this market, when I talk to a lot of professionals, people who have way more knowledge on this than me, who've been in the game way longer than I have, they say, man, I don't really see how the market could crash. It's simple supply and demand.
Right.
There's not enough inventory right now, but there's more buyers. So prices are going to continue to go up. And if interest rates drop, that's not going to tank the market. That's going to make the market go, because there's going to be more buyers coming into the market.
100%.
But my thing is, the market, I think the issue in the market isn't supply and demand. We all understand that as salespeople or just business people. We understand that. The issue is in affordability.
Right. 100%.
So if people can't afford to buy homes, and interest rates continue to rise, because we just saw interest rates go up over 8% or somewhere around there. They just went back up again.
Oh yeah.
And at the same time, wages aren't going up. There has to be some type of rumbling there. I mean, we've already seen more REOs, or bank-owned properties, coming to the market.
Right.
I personally believe that a lot of the people who bought right after COVID, and I know we're still like right after COVID, but a lot of people who bought right after COVID, I think that we're going to see a lot of foreclosures coming from them.
Okay.
I personally believe that a lot of people bought at the top, the tippity top of their affordability.
Sure.
And now with inflation up 9%, of course it came down a little bit, but inflation is through the roof. I mean, gas is high, food's high, everything is high. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And along with that mortgage payment that you have that was, pushing your budget, inevitably a lot of those people are going to end up losing their home. Unfortunately, I think.
That's what you think? Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I don't know if I've heard that point before.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice based off of that to someone who's looking to purchase a home in the next 6 months?
I would say make sure you have a budget.
Okay.
Make sure you understand not just have a budget, but make sure you understand your budget. And make sure that you understand the reason that you're buying. Like if you're buying because you have to understand that this is a long-term investment, right?
Right.
You can't go into this thinking, I'm going to have $20,000 worth of equity in the next 2 years.
Right.
You probably won't have no real equity for another 10 years, especially if, if the market is going to, if I'm wrong,
Right.
Say I'm wrong and the market
Right.
is not going to crash and it just continues to rise and rise and rise,
Right.
then of course you made the best investment of your life. You know,
Right,
in
right.
5 years you're probably going to have $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 worth of equity.
Right.
But I mean, if I'm right and the market crashes, you need to have something that you can afford.
Right,
You know,
right.
the best position for you to be in is to have something you can afford, have a stable job,
Mhm.
and just ride the wave until the market comes back.
Sure. Okay. Well, and an interesting point on that too, right, is with when you're talking about wages increasing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about, you know, interest rates increasing, right?
Mhm.
So there's a lot of people that, you know, and I have a graphic on this, but I don't have it ready because
Right.
I wasn't sure where this was going to go. But there's definitely a graphic I can send over where the affordability issue, right? So let's say interest rates go up. They went up like 1.5% in the last 5 months,
Right,
So
right.
we're definitely in the 8s now for interest rates,
Right.
unless you're going to buy the rate down or do something of that nature. But you know and wages haven't increased as much to as the whole like 1.5%.
Right. They have not increased to go along with inflation.
Right.
Yeah.
However, what a lot of people don't might not be taking into consideration when they look at those two things apples to apples is that you're not using 100% of your income to qualify for that home,
100%.
right? So let's say the rate goes up and your payment increases by $200 a month, right? Well, if your wages are increasing by a lower amount, but it's still increasing by at least that $200 a month,
Mhm.
the affordability is still there. Obviously, it's a lot more expensive, right?
Mhm.
And it's still going to turn some people off. And there
Yeah.
are going to be some people that potentially lose their homes or can't qualify for a mortgage anymore,
Right.
So there's definitely still that factor in there, but it might not be as, the truth typically lies in the gray, right?
Yeah,
There might not
100%.
be one side, oh, it's still super affordable, or
Right.
everyone's going to lose their home, right?
Right. And I don't want to allude and say that everybody's going to lose their home because of course there's people that can afford the property. Most people
Right.
can. I would assume that most people can afford the home they buy. Most of my clients, all of my clients, can afford the home that they bought. Or
Oh, 100%,
I would have
yeah.
pushed them in a different direction.
Oh,
for
absolutely.
buying that home.
Right.
But of course, like we said, there's bad agents out here that
Oh,
just want to get a
100%.
check. So there's people out there that can't afford their home. Yeah.
Well, now, really quick on that notion too, right? Do you see, this is what I'm seeing a lot of my clients do that are first-time home buyers in that situation where, they can qualify for it, technically it's affordable, right?
Technically. Yeah.
Technically. However, that client might be, maybe it's $200 or $300 more than what they really feel comfortable spending every single month, right?
Right.
They're starting to get nervous, I like to call it, when
Yeah,
they're getting their loan estimates and things like that. A lot of them, like this one client I just had, she's a nurse in the city. She was close on a condo like 3 weeks ago, right? Her sister is actually going to be renting a room from her for like $500 a month,
Mm-hmm.
right? Are you seeing that happen a lot with your first-time home buyers that maybe aren't in a situation with maybe like a spouse and kids,
Mhm.
that they have like their a live-in roommate, right? That helps pay?
Yeah. I'm not seeing it a lot, but I do know a couple people who, and it's usually younger people,
Mhm.
people in their, early, mid-20s, which isn't a large part of the buying demographic,
Sure.
who don't have kids. They are renting out rooms and, finding other ways to make money off of that property. And I do think it's an amazing idea to buy property right now,
Right.
if you can.
Oh yeah.
Because moving forward, I mean, there's just not a lot of property to be bought.
Right. Well, let's
We're not building at the same rate that they were building in the early 2000s.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's also really freaking expensive
It's
to build a home, right?
Incredibly expensive to build
Yeah.
a home.
I mean, I was looking at, so I have clients that obviously ask about new construction, and I'm telling them, like, if you're not willing to spend at least $350, like, you're not going to get into
And that's like the bare minimum. I
Yeah.
was just coming out here. I rode by a couple new construction developments, and the common idea in Chicago is that it's cheaper to live in Indiana.
Right.
And I come out here and I see new constructions for over $350, and I'm like,
Yeah, no, exactly. 100%. Yeah, oh my God, it's so expensive. Well, and and that's the other thing too, right? So I think that as a first-time home buyer or as someone that's thinking about purchasing a piece of real estate, maybe they're selling and buying something different, right? I think that a lot of that probably boils down to what their personal risk tolerance is, right?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. And we talk about that a lot too. Most people don't have a real risk tolerance. They're more so, I need it, so I have to go get it. Right?
Right.
They don't have a balance or a nuanced feeling about, or a nuanced idea about how to purchase this property and my affordability. So, I think when we talk about risk tolerance, we think more so about investors.
Okay.
And I think this is an excellent market for investors. You know, of course, interest rates are high, but interest rate isn't the investor's major concern.
Right.
Along with mortgage prices being high, rent prices are high.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So first-time homebuyers have to think about that too. I can buy a house, like you said, I can rent out a room or two, depending on how big my house is, or I could buy a house and live there for a couple of years and then rent that out. Right. And move up again.
Oh yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Of course, it depends on how your money's coming in, but you know, it's definitely an option. And without buying a home, you don't even have that option.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and it's all about getting more options, right? And I think that a lot of people too are focused on maybe one, like whatever the most risky side of the coin is that they're using, right? So let's say, for example, you know, you're purchasing a home and you have an idea or a belief that real estate prices are going to be lower later on, right? You don't have to sell your home immediately if that were to happen, right? Now, there's a lot of data out there that, you know, at least for the time being, right, and I could be wrong about this too, but for the time being, foreclosures are still super low right now, right? Affordability is a concern, but home prices have continued to rise, and they hit their highest peak, last year, and they've now eclipsed that this year. And homes are on pace to go up anywhere from, you know, like 3 to 9% by the end of the year.
And it's crazy, and a lot of people are projecting home prices to go up even more in 2024. But my question is, how high can home prices go? We literally been on more than 10-year run ever since the 2008 crash, when it recovered in around 2010, or started to recover when we started coming out of the recession. Right. We've been on a run.
Well, but here's the thing too, though. Like, if you look at median home, like the median list price, right? This actually just came out today, and I saw this, and I can again send you the graph later on that. If you look at like each market, right? Because we all know markets are very cyclical, right? So if you're looking to purchase, you know, anywhere in the U.S., there's going to be good times to purchase and bad times to purchase, right? Yeah. Well, not necessarily quote unquote, right? But there's going to be good times to list your home and maybe not so great times to list your home, depending on what you want to do.
Good time and a better time.
Exactly. Yes, we'll say that, right? So for most markets, people want to move in the spring to summer, right? Because that's when they can, change schools pretty easily. Everyone's typically like that. You know, it's usually nice weather out, depending on where you live. Right. Easier to move, those types of things. So you see home prices rise from March up until about August or September, right? And then you see the median listing price start to dip in the wintertime because the sellers that are selling during those times need to sell.
Have to sell.
Right? Yeah. And so as if you're looking to purchase a new piece of real estate, I always tell my clients the best time to buy is right now in the winter, right? Yeah. Where, obviously it's not winter just yet, but we're starting to head that way, right? Yeah. Where you have maybe more motivated sellers, less buyers out there looking, right? And so you'll see those prices kind of fluctuate, but if you look at the overall trend line year over year, they're like continuing to go up, right? And so to your point, like how high can home prices go? That's a really good question, right? I don't know, right? I think that a lot of it, to your point we talked about earlier, is the fact that, one, you have, I think 40% of homes in America are, I don't know if it's 40% are free and clear or 40% have like over half their home paid off, but there's a ton of equity in America. People have a lot of equity in their homes. And then also you have, a lot of people that are sitting on 2% interest rates that don't want to sell. And so those two things combined are really pushing a lot of those prices up. I think that you might see some softening in the market as the baby boomers die off, because they're the largest generation that we've had, in the last, in recent,
And they are literally holding on to their homes.
Oh yeah.
They are not giving them up.
They're all holding on to their homes, right? And so everyone's thinking, okay, well, what's going to come in and absorb that inventory, right? As the baby boomers start to pass away and start to, relinquish their real estate at that point. And honestly, it's the millennials.
Well, and there's graphs and stats for this too. And I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but millennials, at least I would say the younger millennials to the Gen Y or Gen
Z, I think, right?
Gen Z, whatever after millennials, they're not even interested in buying homes.
Okay, explain.
They see what's going on, and they're like, man, it's not even affordable. I'm just going to rent. Sure. I know so many young people who, younger than me. I'm not even 30, and people that's younger than me who aren't interested in buying a home. no matter how much I tried to convince them or show them the numbers,
right.
show them the stats, show them other young people that's buying and things that they're doing with their house and how much money they're making.
Sure.
They're not interested in buying homes.
Well, how old are those people?
25,
okay.
26. And I know that's not the that buying age. I think the average age is around 35, which most of my clients are in their mid to late 30s.
Yep.
But, especially during COVID, if you had a decent job and you was 25, why would you not buy a house?
Yeah, but also think of it this way too. Like I think a lot of younger people like that. They might still be trying to figure out their life. Maybe they don't want to live in the area for as long, right? Mm-hmm. And again, that's just pointing out the other side of the argument, right? But to your point, early 30s is the average age of a first-time home buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So over the next couple of years, I think you're going to see a lot more of those people pushing in the market.
Okay.
And the millennials right now too, like a lot of people that are in their 30s that I know, like they're actively wanting to purchase a home, or they've already done it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's where, and the millennials are the biggest generation since the baby boomers. So it means you're probably going to see that balance out a little bit.
Yeah.
Plus, depending on what we have as far as immigration goes too, that's always a factor in there as well.
Yeah.
And they're making home loans more attainable for immigrants too, so that's going to help with a lot of absorbing that inventory, I think.
Yeah. Well, okay, I was about to ask, where do you think the home inventory is coming from? What do you say is coming from the baby boomers?
I think that's where it's going to come from. The baby boomers and new construction. I think is where a lot of that's going to come from.
I would like to see a lot more new construction. New construction, but I would even like to see renovated properties. When we talk about Chicago specifically, especially on the south side, there are so many boarded up homes on the south side of Chicago. And it doesn't make any sense to me that these properties are boarded up and have been boarded up for years. And the only thing that's stopping them from being sold are the taxes.
Right.
So when you talk about immigration, and again, I'm not trying to make this a political conversation or anything, but with all the immigrants or the migrants that are coming over and they're spending, 53 million, 500 million here, they're getting all these grants and all of this. Why couldn't this money have gone to, fixing up properties in the city before? I'm all for them coming and being a sanctuary city, all of that. Yeah. But if we have resources, let's take those resources and use them for the people who are here, who are already struggling, because there's plenty of people in Chicago right now that can't find a home.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and even too, looking at, again, I'm not the mayor of Chicago, right?
Yeah.
So I can't, unfortunately, that's, maybe there's things that I'm not taking into consideration.
Right. Of course, there's plenty of,
But one thing that they, could probably do is help, give tax breaks to people that are purchasing homes in underserved areas, right?
Yes.
Or give, cuts to people that are going to go in there and renovate those places and, be able to either rent them out or, sell them to people that are looking to purchase in those areas, right?
Right.
And I know there's a lot of, I'm blanking on some of these people's names now, but there's a few different developers that we both probably know of in the city that are doing, just that, where they're starting to create more affordable housing and renovate some of these properties.
Right.
Now, sometimes it feels like a drop in the bucket because even though they're bigger operations, they're only able to turn a couple homes a month.
Right. For a lot of reasons, there's a lot of red tape, especially in Chicago and in the south suburbs when it comes to getting these properties from the city or absentee owners. Properties that have been sitting for 5-10 years, investors can't even get their hands on them. I could speak for Markham specifically. Markham is a suburb on 159th Street in Kids, Markham. I talked with the guy over urban development. Shout out to Derek, if you ever watch this. But he told me that there's literally hundreds of vacant, boarded up homes in Markham.
Yeah.
And they can't touch them. The city don't own them.
Who owns them?
They're either backed up taxes by absentee owner, or I don't know who owns them. But the city don't own most of those properties.
Wow.
So the city can't even come in and say, hey, I'm gonna sell it to whoever. But even the ones that the city does own, they for whatever reason they can't sell them. They say I have to go in front of a judge and have to get this judgment order. And I'm like, well, do it,
Right.
And it costs money. Okay, investors will pay that.
Right, exactly.
Money talks.
Yeah. 100%.
So I don't understand why, and that's a reason that people don't. That's the only reason that I hear that clients don't want to move to Markham. It's not because Markham's a dangerous place to live, or it's nothing in Markham or something like that. No, I don't want to live around all these boarded up homes.
Right. Well, and that's also going back to the equity piece, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're looking for a home that's going to increase in value, you want other homes around it to be increasing in value too.
Exactly.
Be sold, to change hands a couple times,
Right.
so it keeps that money flowing,
Right.
And so if you were in an area that doesn't have a lot of turning over inventory, it's going to make it harder for you to make money off your property.
Yep.
100%.
Your property value is going to be stale.
Right. Exactly.
It's going to be sitting there, not decreasing, and that's not why anybody wants to buy a home.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that too, and again, like, I'm not a political expert or anything like that, right? But I think that sometimes, at least in business, right, investing a little bit of money up front is going to help you make a lot more money later on, right? Or save you a lot more money later on.
Yeah.
So, for example, with these, let's say these boarded up homes in Markham, if the city were to invest a little bit of money and figure out a way to maybe knock down some of those tax bills, or find a way to transfer the title of those properties, in a cheaper or effective way, that's going to save them a ton of money in resources they're spending currently
100%.
to, keep the rest of the area somewhat nice, right?
100%. And so I don't know how familiar you are with Markham, or anybody is with Markham, but Amazon building literally just came to Markham maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Huge Amazon building.
That's I drive by that on
they signed a 30-year lease there.
Yeah.
And not only did they do that, and we know Amazon don't like to pay taxes, right?
Right.
So what Amazon did was they came in and they gave Markham a lot of money.
Okay.
They gave the school system a lot of money. They opened the robotics programs, and they repainted the tower, the water tower, and they redid the parks and all of these things. Great, that's perfect, because that makes everybody happy that lives in Markham. But what Amazon could have did, or what Markham could have did with the money that Amazon gave them, was let's find a way to get more people to come live in Markham by revitalizing these homes.
Right, and you have a lot of job opportunities too at Amazon. I mean, I'm sure it's not like paying, absorbent amounts of money, but
Amazon's starting at $20 an hour entry.
What?
Yeah, to pick and pack. You know what I'm saying?
God.
$20 an hour.
Yeah, that's insane. Well, I mean, and that's
and that's more than enough to buy a home.
Oh yeah, 100%. No, absolutely. I mean, that's literally that's about $42,000 a year, right? And so if you have a dual income household, you both work at Amazon, that's about $85,000 a year, right? Yes. That's more than enough money to qualify for a home.
Yes, is that what over $250,000 home easily?
Oh yeah, I mean and you can
and that's not even the average property value in Markham. The average property is maybe $175,000, $150,000 in Markham.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And then you could have I mean, there's so much they could do there, and I feel like and again, maybe something that they've looked at, but there was another reason that they didn't do it, right? Yeah. But it almost feels like a missed opportunity there to really revitalize the community, bring it back to life.
Because think about a 5-year plan, and that's what we do. They give us, I'm just spitballing. They give us $100 million, right?
Right.
Give Markham $100 million. Let's pay off all these taxes. Let's revitalize these homes. Let's pay some contracts. Come and fix the home. I don't care if the city set it. I don't care who set the home.
Right.
And you ain't got to call me to set it. I don't care.
Right.
Get people in the home. Mm-hmm. In 2 years, 3 years, these people are paying property taxes. Now the city is making even more money.
Exactly.
Now you can come in and repaint the water tower, and you can provide these programs and revitalize and all of these things. I think it's a lipstick job that they did.
Right.
And I don't like that.
No, 100%.
And I'm sure a lot of people that live in the city don't appreciate it either. So.
No, absolutely. Well, because it's, like you said, it's, why would you, for lack of a better term, why would you half-ass a job as opposed to, going all the way and actually getting the result that you want?
Right. Maybe I need to run for urban housing development.
You heard it first. We're announcing his campaign. I love it.
Nah, man. You got anything? Any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about, I know we just hit noon, so I actually do have a little bit of time between next guest. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I mean, what are some things that you want to talk about specifically when it relates to real estate or wealth creation?
I think real estate is the biggest, not the biggest, but one of the most stable ways to create wealth.
Okay.
I was just talking, like I said, I was talking with another lender about it. I do a lot of BPOs. And
what is that?
Broker price opinions.
Okay.
So, banks who own these loans, they, if somebody's going to refinance, or even if they're about to do a foreclosure, or if they just want to check on their investment, they'll send a broker out to do a
Gotcha.
price opinion. on the
Okay,
property.
so kind of like a CMA. Or,
Basically,
okay.
basically,
Yeah,
it's
gotcha.
just a more thorough CMA, a less thorough appraisal.
Gotcha.
You know?
Okay. Yeah.
So I do a lot of those, and when you do those, you go through the tax records and you see like the last time it sold, and
Sure.
how much it's sold for, and then of course you do your opinion of the price. Now you go out to see the property. I see a lot of properties in more affluent or white neighborhoods, or whiter neighborhoods. I'm not gonna say just white neighborhoods,
Sure.
but like more where the demographic is more white people out there.
Sure.
A lot of the properties there have been passed down through the generations.
Right.
So maybe mom bought it or dad bought it in the 60s for $75,000,
Mm-hmm.
and then they didn't sell it.
Right.
They put that property in the trust.
Right.
You
right.
feel me?
Yeah,
They put the
100%.
property in the trust, and then they deeded it over to their son.
Mhm.
And then their son, he didn't sell it.
Right.
He went back to the trust, and then he deeded it over to his son. And now in
Yep.
2023, that house is worth $500,000.
Yeah.
Versus what I see in less white neighborhoods, like black neighborhoods or black and brown neighborhoods, whatever you want to call it, less affluent neighborhoods.
Sure.
What I see there is houses that have been left to go to hell
Gotcha.
for various reasons.
Okay.
Whether it's mom died and nobody knew what to do with the property. I really think what it is a lack of education and a
Okay.
lack of purpose
Mhm.
behind real estate.
Right.
So when you don't have that education, you don't really see the value or the purpose behind it.
Of course.
So I think that's one of the major issues, and that's one of the reasons that I do the real estate show, just to give that game to people.
Yeah.
Or just to open people's eyes to it, because if your mom owns 3 homes right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be damned if I ever sell any of those homes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
And another thing too, it's not even a matter of selling the home.
Right.
Because you could sell the home and take that money and buy 3 other homes.
Right.
So if you understand what you have
Mm-hmm.
and understand routes that you can take to increase that wealth, that generational wealth, then you put yourself in a better place, put your family in a better place.
Oh, absolutely. So you think it boils down to like an education kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I think it starts early.
Mhm.
I mean, why not teach real estate in high school?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why not teach real estate in most colleges?
Right.
Or I really don't know where it starts. I actually just got my license to instruct real estate courses,
Oh, awesome.
and I want to take it to high schools.
Yeah.
I want to get with a school and partner with a high school and talk to high school, because I didn't get into real estate until I was mid-20s.
Right.
Maybe 24, 25. After I already went to college and everything, it never crossed my mind.
Right.
So I think your dad came up in real estate, right?
Yeah.
Or he was a loan officer, right?
Yeah, he became a loan officer after he was a pastor for a long time.
Really?
And then, shocking, right? And he was a pastor for a long time, and then we lost our house, and the loan officer that we didn't lose the house, we had to sell it, right?
Mhm.
So we did it was kind of like a short sale because we had to come up with money to get out from under it, right? And so the loan officer that was financing the deal for the buyer called him the next day and offered him a job. So he'd been doing it.
Wow.
So he's been in the business now for about 12 years, I think.
Wow.
And then he told me that I should get into it after I tore my ACL and wasn't able to go to the military. So I got into it, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
So I got introduced to it at a very young age, right?
Yeah.
Because it's pretty much the only option I had.
Right. Right.
But yeah, so it's really interesting how obviously everyone falls into it, but I definitely hear you on the lack of education piece of it, because there's so many young people that I talk to that are like, oh, I think I'm gonna go buy a home, so they talk to John, right? And they hit me up, and maybe they have some really bad credit issues.
Finances in shambles.
Exactly. I understand that, we all make mistakes and stuff like this, but really what ended up happening was you just didn't know what to do.
Right.
And you didn't know that, not paying your car loan for 6 months is going to jack you up for the next couple of years.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so I think that, obviously it's really good what you're doing to push out the education you can to the people that are in your circle.
Mhm.
And I think that I've honestly seen a lot of that over the last 10 years. It's becoming really popular.
A lot more financial literacy going on here.
Which makes me a lot happier, right?
Yeah.
Because before that, you really didn't have a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah. I also think that it could be information overload.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're on TikTok or Instagram, and you're just getting all of this stuff thrown at you, like life insurance, real estate, bonds, taxes, and now you're just like, I don't know where to start. You know?
Oh yeah, no, there's also the qualified information too.
Yeah,
because there's so many people on TikTok that I see them like, okay, that is terrible advice.
Yes, and the things that go viral are the things that shock you, right?
Oh yeah.
So we had somebody come on. I want your opinion on this. We had somebody come on our podcast. And she said, shout out to Peter Plug, and I'm not calling her a liar or anything. There's no shots at her, but this clip went viral, right?
Yeah.
She said that the finance charge is illegal. She said it's illegal to put down a down payment on a car and on a house.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and I wish I could show you the video right now, but she said that down payments are illegal. That is verbatim, that's what she said. Down payments are illegal. She quoted a line in the finance code, right? So I went and Googled it.
Sure.
And
let me pull it up.
The code literally doesn't say anything about down payments.
Sure.
Now, in terms of a car, right?
Right.
I could see, because you bought a car, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so when you went to go buy your car, they said, hey John, this car is gonna be $20,000. Right. You need to put down $1,500. And this is what your payment is going to be.
Right.
When you drove off that lot and you paid, they financed $20,000, you didn't now have a car that was $18,500. You still had $20,000 of a car payment to pay. The car company essentially pockets that money.
Gotcha.
See?
Okay.
So I could see how that may be illegal, but on a home, it's a completely different scenario. If I come to you and say, John, I want to buy a home for $100,000, and you like, okay, Mike, your down payment 3.5%, $3,500. I put down $3,500. I now have a loan for $96,500.
Right.
You see?
Yeah. So I can see where that is. Right. The last time I purchased a car was about a year ago. Right. And so typically with any kind of loan, and I can't speak. I'm not an attorney, so I can't speak legality of down payments. Right. And I don't even know car loans that much, right? But loans work very similarly. So you have like certain loan to values that you can have, right? So obviously loan to value on a home is, your purchase price minus your down payment as a percentage. That's what you're left with is your loan to value. So you can have different loan to values based off the loan you take out.
Right.
With a car loan, it's very similar too, and their loan to values go above the market value of the car to 100%. A certain percent, 100%. Right? And so a lot of that's where, like, if you have taxes, doc fees, things like that you're rolling into this, you can get pretty high up over what the price or value of the car is when you go off the lot. Right. So usually a down payment would be used to offset those costs. So you have that loan to value where you need to be. Right. I'm not sure if, and again, I don't know this for fact. I haven't looked at my car loan statements. I'm paying them, right? But I would imagine that, like, if you're putting down a down payment or you're paying like closing costs on your car, then it would obviously go towards those fees, right? It wouldn't be something the dealer just pockets. Right,
and to my understanding, the dealer just pockets it. So I can definitely understand how that concept could come about.
Sure, yeah.
She's like, oh, you can go back to the dealership and get your title for your car, type of deal.
Oh, wow.
So,
send me that clip. I might need to
I'm gonna send it to you.
Get my car paid. I'm gonna send it
to you. But my point is, these are the things that go viral.
Right.
I said one time and this is another thing that went viral, another thing that got us millions of views, right?
Right.
I said, use your Section 8 voucher to buy a home.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that went viral because a lot of people thought that was fake. Right. They thought that was BS, right? No, this is 100% facts. You can go to Section 8, whatever it is, the HUD or whoever it is that runs the Section 8 in your city.
Yeah.
And it's not in every
authority.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
The housing authority. It's not in every city. Every city doesn't do it, or every township doesn't do it, or whatever.
Right.
But especially in Chicago doesn't.
Yeah.
I have worked with plenty of people who can buy a home with their Section 8. Just take the class and do it.
Yeah.
But my point is, things like this are the things that go viral. Not the basic things like, hey, save. This is how you save. This is how you do a budget.
Right.
This is how you. This is the process of buying a home.
Right.
This is why you should buy a home. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Everybody wants to hear the flashy part of everything. And I think that's the issue that I'm starting to see right now. Yes, it's a lot of financial literacy out there, but the only things that go viral, the only things that people are sharing around and talking about are the crazy asinine things that may or may not be true.
Well, and it's all about the attention you can get,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
the same thing with the news too. You know, that it's all about what can they say to draw an audience, right? And so, to your point, with Section 8, you can go to Housing Authority of Cook County. If you qualify for Section 8, you can qualify for a housing voucher.
Yep.
You have to have a credit score of 640.
Yep.
And then, you're pretty much set at that.
You just gotta take the class.
You gotta take the class.
That's
and
it.
it's usually like I think the whole process takes about 1 to 2 months.
Yeah.
If you're
simple.
like while you're going through the pre-approval stage.
It's simple.
So
It's
super
simple.
easy. So I think one of the biggest things that like I have a problem with when it comes to like shock and awe clips, right, or viral clips on any social media platform, are the people that talk about like whole life insurance. Whole life insurance as an investment, right? That is like, that makes my skin crawl.
Why does it make your skin crawl? I mean, I'm not a life insurance agent. I don't know. I don't have whole life insurance.
Sure, yeah.
You know, so I don't know the intangibles of it, but I do know what you're talking about. Why does it make your skin crawl?
Sure. So it depends on your situation, right? So like let's say that there's a client that we're working with that is making $100,000 a year, right? And they want to purchase their home. They can, and they maybe want to take out life insurance now that they own a home, right? So, and if they're routinely saving, doing everything, at least 80% of the way they should be financially, because no one's perfect, right? But you're saving, a decent portion of your income every month, you're investing in your retirement accounts, you're doing all these things, right? You will eventually become self-insured. And so what that means is you will eventually have enough assets that when you die, you don't need life insurance because you have all your assets to cover that, right? You can still leave your kids money, you can still, all that stuff, right? So typically in that scenario, you would take out, maybe a 30-year term life insurance policy, right? And if you want to be insured for $2 million and you're under 30, and you don't have a ton of health issues, right? You're most likely going to be around like $100 to $200 a month or whatever, or cheaper potentially for your life insurance, right? Well, with whole life, for the same amount of coverage, you're paying like 2 to 3 times more, right? I don't know what the exact like thing is, right? But I've seen comparisons, right? You're paying significantly more for the same amount of coverage, right? Now it is like owning your policy, right? So you do have part of that money is going into the policy that you can get later on, right? So a lot of people, what they'll do is they can borrow against the cash value of their life insurance policy, right? Similar to like you can borrow against the equity in your home, right? However, when you do borrow against that, you are paying interest on that, and a lot of people don't bring that up. So you're paying interest on that, right? And there's also, I think there are some penalties for doing that too. Again, I'm not an expert, so don't shoot me, right? I got a bunch of people from different companies that are probably like going to be, planting bombs. But, there are penalties for borrowing. That's not free money because nothing's ever free.
100%.
And you have your cash value or your policy amount, like, or the amount, right? So let's say your cash value is $50,000. That's how much you've built up in cash value at this point. And your policy is worth $2 million, right? Again, maybe I might be talking out of pocket here, right? But from what I've researched when I did research this a while ago, was that you can either take the cash value or the face value of the policy. You can't have both, right? So it's essentially, if you were to just diversify and put the additional payment into other options, you would actually be a little bit more diverse. You would actually have more money at the end of the day.
And I definitely believe in life insurance because I have a family member who came up on life insurance. His mom died at an early, and he was very young. He came out with almost $1 million after she died just because she had a strong life insurance policy. So life insurance does work.
100%.
And it is valuable.
A
valuable asset to have. That you're paying change for. To make sure that your family is secured, your funeral arrangements are made, and your kids or your heirs are set up to be able to sustain their life without you. But there are a lot of life insurance gurus. But this is another problem that I have with the gurus. None of the gurus are experts in this field. All the gurus are people who YouTube University this. And there's nothing wrong with YouTube University, but when you YouTube University, you need to keep that. You need to have some type of backing behind what you're talking about.
Right.
So either you did it and you're going to show me proof that this worked,
right,
or you have some type of degree or some type of paperwork or somebody to vouch for you,
right,
to say that this is accurate information, not just somebody that came online and spewed off some information. And
or you're selling life insurance, right?
Or you're selling life,
yeah.
but that's where the value comes in,
exactly.
right there. If you are a life insurance agent, this hits totally different,
right?
But if you're just Joe Schmo on the street who's like, yo, whole life insurance,
right?
You need to get it.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying though. A lot of these people are like life insurance salespeople, right? And so I do know this too, like and this is definitely a fact, like whole life insurance is one of the highest commission products in the financial world.
So that's why they're selling. That's why they're pushing it.
Exactly, right?
Wow.
So that's where, I'm kind of thinking that like, hey, maybe there's some, not that I'm saying everyone's a snake or anything like that, right? But maybe there are some people out there that are pushing products onto people to make a little bit more cash.
There's a lot of charlatans out here, man.
Exactly. So that's where, I just think proceed with caution on whatever you want to do there. Make sure you understand everything you're getting into.
Do your research, man.
Yeah.
When you see one of these TikToks or one of these reels that go viral and you're questioning it, do your research on it, man. Don't just jump out into something.
Yeah.
Don't just believe it and start spewing off information that you heard. Go research it. It's so simple to research something.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to say, and we'll say this last thing too about it as well. I'm not the expert on this, right?
Right.
So I do mortgages. I don't sell life insurance. So I don't know all the ins and outs. I could have just made a complete idiot of myself in what I said, right? However, when it comes to life insurance specifically, right? What I do have a problem with, and this is really with anybody that is in a sales aspect or helping people create wealth, right? If all you focus on is the product that you sell to help that client create wealth, you're doing it wrong. Because there's not a million other things, right? But there's other ways you can diversify and spread that risk out. So if somebody says, oh, well, I believe my client should only be in whole life insurance, and that's the only investment they should have, right?
Right.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Just like if I were to say, or you were to say, hey, the house should be your only investment.
Yeah.
It's a terrible idea.
Yeah, no.
And that's why we want to make it more affordable for our clients so that they have the ability to invest in other places.
So you're not house poor.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? The last thing I want my client to do is call me 2 years later and be like, Mike, you sold me this house and now I can't afford to do anything.
Right, exactly.
And then I don't want my clients to be a car accident away from being on their ass.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. No, 100%. And I think and again, it goes back to what we talked about earlier. That's what separates, us from maybe some of the other people that got in the market because it was easy.
Right.
And again, not that they're malicious,
right?
But maybe they just don't have the same thoughts around that, right? They just don't think about it.
They don't have the same knowledge base. And I mean, we can end it here. I mean, what I would encourage anybody that's getting into sales, real estate sales, mortgage lending, insurance sales, any type of career path, really anything, honestly. I don't care if you're a journalist, you're going into IT. You need to get a mentor, somebody that has been doing this for tens of years, 10, 20 years, 30 years, somebody who's a veteran in this, who you can lean on, who you can lean on for advice, who can walk you down that path, who can show you how to get the transaction, who can show you how to close the transaction, who can show you how to help your clients moving forward, show you how to retain clients, show you how to take those clients and make more clients out of them. There's so many different avenues to make money in all of these fields and to be an asset to your community. You can't go in this alone.
Absolutely.
You can't go into these fields alone and thinking, I don't need anybody to show me how to do it. That's why when I see a lot of these brokerages who are like 100% brokerages, which is nothing wrong with 100% brokerage. You keep all your money, that's amazing.
Right.
But a lot of the 100% brokerages don't have any type of mentor. They don't have no productivity coaching. They don't have a lot of them don't even have an office for you to go into to ask people questions.
Exactly.
The managing broker is nowhere to be found.
Right.
All they do is sign your listing agreement. That's it. So, just make sure, if you get into this field, make sure you get with a company or get with somebody who is seasoned and who can help you on this journey, because this is a lifetime journey, man. I plan on being in real estate for the rest of my life.
Same.
No,
I love it, dude. That's some really good points there. So, Michael, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Definitely, man. Thanks for having me, man. We got to do it again.
We will, absolutely. For sure. Thank you.
Definitely. Oh, man. How long was this for?
That was like 45 minutes, I think.
Yeah.